Welcome inside episode 636 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains, and the Ottawa Senators have split their first preseason games against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And the Leafs are in postseason form, Ross, losing in the third period as they do. And two cuts happened with the Ottawa Senators, those players back to their respective junior teams.
We'll let you know who they are and maybe who can we expect play tomorrow in Winnipeg. All that's coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Monday, September 26th. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube, where the best way you can help the show grow is to like every video. Just click the thumbs up and please subscribe to the Locked On Senators channel. Be a friend, tell a friend. It's that time of year where everyone is gathering to see how the top line looks. Was Jake Sanderson okay at the NHL level? We'll have all those answers. But if you were subscribed to Locked On Senators on YouTube, you would have seen the inaugural and second postcast of the year. Yes, we went live after each game. Those replays are available exclusively on YouTube. But Pilsy, the postcast will return to audio form come regular season.
Yep, you gotta love postcast season coming back here, and that just means it's Ottawa Senators hockey time. And sure, maybe it's not regular season yet, but we're fired up about the preseason too. We don't discriminate when it's Ottawa Senators hockey.
No, especially when there's individual players you're watching, and we'll get into how some guys fared, whose stocks went up the highest. I'm sure we'll borrow a little bit of Sens stocks from @Lalims Martian. But we are looking for a sponsor for the postcast as well. So if you have a small business and you would like to get it to a very passionate group of individuals, hit us up. You can get to my email through our YouTube channel. All right, Pilsy. So the Ottawa Senators play 2 in Toronto on Saturday. They lose 4-1 in the matinee and then win 4-3 in the nightcap. I think we're just going to talk about individual performances, though. You can go to the postcast if you want, play-by-play from each games. It's more big picture here as we enter week 2 of training camp. Who is your number one standout from this entire weekend?
Honestly, it seems crazy, and maybe it's just recency bias, but Crooker looked good yet again. And obviously a little bit more of a diminished role than he had in the rookie tournament, but anytime he's out there, he looks great. And I believe it was Scott Sabrin who set him up with a gorgeous, gorgeous pass. Ross, you laughed when I said Scott Sabrin is battling for the fourth line winger position. With silky mitts like that, he might be cracking a top 6 spot. Look out.
I know, and considering Austin Watson played about 45 minutes in the matinee game, I was surprised there was any ice time left for a fourth line afterwards. But you're right. What a little behind-the-back feed right on the tape.
Right on the tape. Ooh.
Crooker makes no mistake, puts it home, the intensity, the smile. You love to see that after the goal, and he just wants it. You can just tell every shift this guy really has a renewed appreciation for the game after it was taken away. So I like that. Angus Crookshank topped the top 5. Cracked the top 5.
That one got you there.
Oh, man. We'll explain why we're a little bamboozled in just a moment. But with the top 5 players that stood out to me, yeah, Crooker was on there. But there's also another forward. And maybe he was expected to be good, especially at this part of the season. But what a late summer addition Tyler Motte is looking like.
Nice.
Pilsy. This guy played almost 20 minutes of ice time. He played almost 5 minutes on the penalty kill. He is going to be a guy that gains the trust of DJ Smith in a hurry.
Now, does this viewing of him give you a little bit more confidence having him as a third line guy? I know you kind of penciled him in on the fourth line. You feel good on that third line there?
I mean, it's still early, but he didn't do anything to alleviate that possibility from my mind.
It's his spot to lose, eh? Like, that's where we're at? Yeah.
I would say so. Goal, empty netter, but he worked hard to get there. Assist, and 5 hits. I like that too. So he was mixing it up. A team high, like I said, played over 5 minutes, 5:18 on the penalty kill. The next highest time on ice on the PK among forwards, 3:15. Shane Pinto, almost more than 2 full minutes more. Tyler Motte was an absolute buzzsaw out there for the Ottawa Senators, so wanted to shout him out as well. Another guy that came to mind, he ends up scoring the game winner in that game, is Mark Kastelik. We were talking about Brassard versus Gambrell in the group chat after the first game, but I think Casty came and bullied his way into top spot of those three. If we're jockeying based on a game by game, like if it's like, you know, those racing games where you're like, okay, he pulls ahead, no F1, more the long race. I'd say Casty just pulled in. Maybe the other guys went for a little pit stop, but he gets the goal. And not only that, like his entire game is centered around how big and strong he is. Like Victor Mete of all people trying to get body positioning in front of the net, just not going to happen. So Casty to me was another big standout and really solidified his spot as a guy who not to be taken lightly, despite not needing waivers. That shouldn't matter when he is being as dominant as he is in that big frame out there.
Yeah, and honestly, I would have no issue at all having Mark Kastelik as the everyday fourth-line center and then bumping Dylan Gambrell to that 13th forward, right? Like, I think that's something you could do because you obviously don't want a younger guy, that like a prospect that you're still invested in, sitting up in the press box. But Dylan Gambrell, I think he's 26, 27. You got him for a 7th-round pick. You sign him to a pretty minimal 1-year contract. So it's okay if he's not coming in every single game. And he's not really a guy I would send down to Belleville either. So if he has to be the extra guy and someone like Casty really grabs the reins of that fourth-line center job, that's fine with me. And like we know, like this team, there's a lot of pairs that work well together. The pair of Mark Kastelik and Parker Kelly, that's a tough pair to play up against if you're an opponent team. So you love to see that.
A little news. DJ Smith mentioning that Parker Kelly suffered a minor injury. Shouldn't keep him out for long, but probably the next week or so. So when you don't see Parker Kelly in the mix here, it's not because he's done anything to not deserve games or if they're holding him out because he's already got a spot locked in. He suffered a minor injury and will be reevaluated throughout the next week. But they think maybe the Montreal game on October 1st is when he will make his preseason debut. Soon today, I guess around 11 a.m., we're going to find out who the roster is coming to Winnipeg. We wanted to get this show out, though, as early as possible. It's that time of year where things age rather quickly. Of course, I'm going to be boots on the ground on Tuesday, and my other work schedule is just not allowing too much flexibility in terms of timing to recording. So right now, it's 6:30 p.m. on Sunday evening. And after the break, we're going to get in to a few guys who maybe didn't impress as much. But before we do, I want to finish off this top 5 and just throw some names off of you and what your thoughts were, how they performed this weekend. What did you think of Jacob Bernard-Docker and his play?
I didn't get to see a whole lot of Jacob Bernard-Docker. That was the game that I was busy for. But just looking at his stats here, I mean, you get an assist. That's nice. He handled big minutes, the third most minutes of any defenseman of that night. Obviously, Zub and Spot are going to get the most here.
How about Shabby playing 27 minutes in a preseason game?
And we heard from DJ that, look, the rising tide floats all boats. Like a better defenseman should help kind of cancel that out. But I guess Sanderson's not there. That's kind of where you're really looking at there. But 27 minutes in a preseason game, you probably don't need to do that. But Shabbat, that's what he likes, honestly. He probably gets comfortable the more minutes he's out there. So
to be fair, Morgan Riley played 27:05. So you know what? Both big dogs on the back end were getting their minutes in.
Yeah, but didn't exactly work out for Morgan Riley and the Blue Gang there. So we'll have Thomas Shabbat eat those minutes and take the W.
We got an all-time comment on our YouTube. I'll tell you about it right after a quick break right here on the Locked On Senators podcast.
Guys, it's Monday and we want to start our week off right. And the best way to start your week or day off right is with Athletic Greens. What is this stuff? It's simple. Just one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens and you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, and probiotics so you can start the day off right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of these things just with one scoop. And it's lifestyle friendly too. So whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it's all good. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar. No GMOs, no nasty chemicals, no artificial anything, while still tasting good. And it's going to cost you less than $3 a day to invest in your health. It's cheaper than your coffee habit. It's cheaper than getting all those supplements. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. And there's so many positive reviews. They have over 7,000 5-star reviews, trusted by leading health experts and more. So guys, right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop into your cup of water every day. That's it. It's simple. To make it even easier, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs of AG1 with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance from Athletic Greens.
All right, Pilsy. So preseason hockey is here, but some take it a little more seriously. We were just having fun, Marcia and I, in the postcast game 2, right after the win. Just having a good time. Guys being dudes. Of course, we missed you. But however, we got a comment this morning from Leafs fan 426.9 is how I really should be referring to him. He commented on 4 different things. Oh, his name is Awesome Matthews.
Cool.
Quote, Senator fans are acting like game 2 of a back-to-back exhibition game was the Stanley Cup final. Really looking forward to the collapse of this team this year. What's more crazy? Doing a postcast to get some reps in, just like the players in preseason.
It's preseason for us podcasters.
Or finding content from the other team that you played in a preseason back-to-back and getting mad at them in the comments.
I was waiting for something like this to happen, Ross, because you just know if the Leafs have won that game 2 and won both preseason games, you're getting Leafs fans being like, wow, Sens fans, obviously the Senators are not going to be a good team. All that offseason hype was for nothing. So no matter what way you spin it, the Leafs fans are going to have their toxic comments. So we'll just let them have that one. That's fine.
Still hilarious. Your $25 million line looked useless. Like all this stuff. It's so funny. So funny. We're just here trying to have a good time, get the cobwebs out in preseason.
Speaking of toxic Battle of Ontario stuff, Ross, I forgot how much I love to hate Mitch Marner.
We talked about that for you last night.
Thank you. Like, there were so many plays that he did where I'm like, I hate the way this guy plays hockey. Like, there was one. The Leafs had pressure in the O-zone, cycling the puck around. They were doing a good job. I'll tip my cap there. And defenseman pinches, and Marner goes to cover his spot on the blue line. But instead of covering his spot and being engaged in the game like you would hope an $11 million player would, he just controller dies and goes off to take a change. And the defenseman passes it back to him, and he doesn't even try to pretend like he was like, oh crap, I was changing, but I'll try to get it. He just lets it go right by. Like, Mitch Marner. Oh,
is it a hot take? And maybe I'm asking the wrong person, but and it's not based on just this past game sample size, but I'd probably take Nylander over Marner.
If we're talking contract included, all day. Yeah, all day I would take Nylander over Marner. Yeah.
All right, that's enough blue team talk. We do love our friends over at Locked On Leafs, so you can go listen to them if you want to either have a laugh or whatnot.
We'll send Awesome Matthews their way. How about that?
Yeah. And Mike DiStefano and David Morassutti are likely going to join us here coming up as we do a Atlantic Division roundup between all the Locked On hosts one by one. Those got great reviews last year, so stay tuned. Those are going to be weekend bonus coverage as we're back to 5 shows a week on Locked On Senators. Did I miss one guy? I believe I did, because we've gone through 4 players so far that impressed us, and we're going to make a little bit of a compliment sandwich here, because then we're going to get into a few who did not impress so much. The fifth and final guy that we'll discuss is Jake Sanderson. Yeah, -2 on the box score, but his play, you talk about Marner, let's pick it up there. The play where Marner cuts outside right through neutral ice, a lot of guys probably trip over themselves on that crossover. Not Jake Sanderson. He ends up closing the gap in a hurry and uses his long stick to stay with him. That was just kind of a sign of things to come before you can take us through that 2-on-1 defense he played too.
I was really nervous there, Ross, because like you mentioned, a lot of defensemen, Marner, you got to give it to him. He's quick with the puck. He's hard to really kind of guess what he's going to do, for better or for worse, I should say. But that's a play where a lot of guys would trip up. And I was like, if that highlight happens, I don't know. That's hard to recover from.
Yeah, game one.
Yeah, but Sanderson does a really good job there. Keeps him wide, doesn't get kind of stifled by the quick stop by Marner, and sticks with him and forces him to pass the puck off somewhere else. So I thought that was a really good play by Jake Sanderson. And I think it's going to be tough because everyone has high expectations for Jake Sanderson. I think this year we need to kind of just see how things go and not raise expectations too high, because again, it's not like he has the most ideal partner. I know you're a Hamonic guy, Ross, and I'm not anti-Hamonic.
He actually looked good.
Yeah, I'm not anti-Hamonic, but I still think we could find a better partner for Jake Sanderson. So I think this year Sens fans are going to have to be patient and understand that there's a lot of little things that Jake Sanderson does that in kind of when he keeps repeating all these little things, they all add up to a really solid game. So don't try to look for those highlight reel stuff right away from Sanderson. Look for those little things that he's always doing right, and I think Sens fans are going to be happy with him.
Well, he played 21-39, the most of any defenseman in the first game of the day. Over 2 minutes on the power play, a minute 47 on the penalty kill. Took 2 penalties. The second one, your boy Marner. I mean, come on.
It's a tough look because Marner goes down like he does, and the ref kind of has to call that, but I wasn't too impressed with the reffing in the first game, that's for sure.
No, but we're not going to stand here and throw tables or anything at the reffing of game one in the preseason.
No, we won't do that yet.
We'll save that in mid-season form. I want to give a bit of a shout-out, and this is more for Belleville, but Christian Rubens, for his size, like he's a unit out there, and he actually looked like he was pretty comfortable handling the puck, so I liked what I saw in Belleville. We cover Belleville just as much. I'm not saying he's going to make an appearance in Ottawa necessarily, but I did notice him a lot more than I thought I would in the first game.
Yeah, I thought he was a good pickup. Like that's the thing. The Ottawa Senators are doing a much better job of kind of rounding out all the edges in Belleville and finding those right kind of mid-late 20s guys that kind of have proven they're not everyday NHLers, but they're still fringe-worthy guys that if you had to bring them up in a pinch, you'd be all right with. And I think Christian Rubens is one of those guys.
That leads me into the fact that even with a lineup that included Christian Rubens, Nikita Zaitsev was still the worst defenseman on the ice. I tried to like it. The first play he made of the game was very good. It was a cross-ice pass, and Talbot got a little bit tangled up, and Zaitsev, boom, right out of harm's way. Clean, clear, not even for icing. After that,
Imagine.
It all fell apart.
Yeah, and he was one of those guys, I think it was it Nylander that Zaitsev did he almost had it. He did the outstretched dive to try to stop that 2-on-1. Or
the 2-on-1, well, that's his play. No. It was Nylander that put it across to Mulligan for the goal. But
yeah,
he uses it. I think I said this in the postcast. It's a fire drill for him. Stop, drop, and roll whenever there's a 2-on-1 against. There's zero strategy.
He almost had it there, but yeah, almost isn't good enough. And hey, I want to highlight, how about that Tim Stützle goal?
Woo!
Again, it's preseason, but as the first goal of those games and a breakaway goal by Timmy Stu, and we gotta give love to Maxence Gannett for that pass. Oh my goodness.
Do you see the photo the Sens posted? You see the photo the Sens posted? It's not quite the Leaf pile, but we'll get it up right here because some Leaf fans in the background, I tweeted out at Sens Central. You can go follow the show there. Which Leaf fan do you like the most?
I think I like the guy that's leaning up against the
bar. He's like, man,
the bar there.
This guy's good.
Exactly. He's like, oh, damn. I think that guy's my favorite.
Meanwhile, the gentleman with the white hair and the goatee, like, he's like, man, how am I still a fan of this Leafs team?
Yeah, but that's a guy that he doesn't stand up or cheer when the Leafs score either.
No.
Like that, I feel like that guy's a suit that has been
stern suit.
A stern suit that has been at Scotiabank for longer than he'd like.
God, the first time we get to see Jake Sanderson in a Sens lineup, and he's right beside the 3rd overall pick. So 3 and 5, both in the lineup for the Ottawa Senators. Great to see. Outside of Zaitsev, was there anyone who you were hoping to see more from? Because we talked about that top line. They're going to need some reps before we can really judge them. I'm not even going to get on their case until, I don't know, the East Coast trip. That's where I'm going to be like, all right, guys, regular season starting this week. Let's get it together. But before that, like if they come to Winnipeg, which I don't think they will, or even this weekend against Toronto and or Montreal, like just get the kinks out, learn where each other is.
Yeah, I think as far as preseason goes, they got the guys out I wanted to see. I feel like one ice time that I'm really looking at here, Ross, is Shane Pinto led all forwards in ice time with 20 minutes and 8 seconds in that second game. So that's interesting that he was able to have that much ice time, and the coaches were really comfortable putting him out there.
Yes, and in the first game, the top line got a ton of play. Yes, they all played over 330 on the power play. That helps, but they were also all over 20 minutes up front. Stützle led the way with 22-16 in ice time. So when the big guys are in the lineup, they're going to play is basically what DJ's doing. Yep. They're not going to play a 4th or 3rd line role. Like when you're going to play, you're going to assume it's a simulated game, and they're going to be expected to play that much night in and night out.
Yeah, well, and the thing with the top 6 too is that's essentially your top 2 power play units too, right? So any special teams ice time that's going to happen, it's going to go to those guys as well. I don't think many, or if any of those are going to kill penalties. So anytime there's power play, that's just going to add to those guys' minutes. And hey, when you have a top 6 as stacked as the Ottawa Senators, you got to play them heavy. I mean, you just that's the way you got to go about this. Not that I don't trust the bottom 6, but that top 6 is just lethal.
Well, unless you're the Athletic and you think it's a
I know.
C
I was going to mention that. I got some qualms with that article, that's for sure.
Well, let's get to them right after this quick break. You're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast. We'll be back for a brief conversation about that Athletic season preview. And the Ottawa Senators assigned 2 more players back to their junior clubs. Is it strange that Carson Latimer and Tomas Hamara didn't get a game? We'll get into all that and more. You're listening to Locked On Senators. All right, Pilsy. So Dom Lasician, an analytics-driven reporter, I guess we'll call him, from The Athletic, puts out his season previews, and you got some issues with how he's judging the Ottawa Senators.
This one quote that he had, I had to read it 2 or 3 times, Ross, because I wasn't quite sure like if there was a different angle he had. The quote is, "It's hard to see the Senators making the playoffs unless something changes with the team's top 6. It's not good enough as is, not without an elite guy." Bro,
like,
if you're gonna come at any part of the Ottawa Senators team, it is not the top 6. Like, I couldn't believe, like, look, they're not going to make the playoffs because that top 6 just is not good enough. They don't have an elite guy. Is scoring 40-plus goals in multiple seasons in your early 20s not an elite talent? Or did I miss something?
I must have missed something. When you said top 6, I was like, yeah, top 6 defenseman.
Yeah. And that's another part. Like, look, I know everyone wants to say he's biased and he always responds as just his numbers, models, whatever, that's fine. But when you rank the Senators forwards, or grade them, I should say, as a C+, and the defense is a C, you're saying the difference between this forward group and this defense group is just a
measly plus.
A measly plus? I don't know.
Word of the day.
Yeah, there, love it. Word of the day, measly. But I don't know if I can trust your numbers analysis if the forwards are just marginally better than this defense. Like, that was just wild to me. Like, the disrespect that this top six got in that article really rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, I want them to read it then. Let's get some bulletin board material here. I've seen a lot of C's over my schooling career.
Oh, hell yeah. Yep.
But to see a C for the Sens core as well, I was like, huh? Weird.
I don't know. Yeah. But hey, they do these for people to get mad at, as I told Corey Pronman. That is the number one reason you make lists and predictions and projections. It's so that immediately people click on it, read it, and get upset. So job well done, Dom. Job well done.
Honestly, one of the funniest questions that we've ever asked on this show, the way it was taken. Definitely recommend going to listen to Corey. And we also have a playlist with all of our big interviews, and we recommend everyone going. And over the summer, you're at the cottage, you were traveling, you're busy. Why don't you go get caught up? Because all of that is pretty well still in the news cycle, we'll say. I don't think that too much of it aged throughout this off season. However,
timeless interviews, Ross. Timeless.
Yes, especially Mando. I'm going to point people out one criminally underviewed compared to our other ones. Mando interview was phenomenal, absolute beauty, and like he said, he wants to fight Aaron Dell. Like what? Like that's the tease. Go listen to the interview right now. Yes. Speaking of Mando, Sogi both battled back after we were tough on them after the rookie tournament. They both look good. Talbot looked good. Forsberg looked good. Hashtag goalie friendly team. This team, the boys look good.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds funny to say. I was very impressed with Talbot, even though he was the guy that led in the most goals in the loss. That's
3 goals in less than 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to really bounce back from that. But I thought he made a lot of great saves. He robbed Nylander a couple
glove
times.
Save?
Yeah, glove save. I think there was one where he was sliding over and he got there in time. Yep. So I thought Talbot looked great. And it is going to be an adjustment going from playing behind that Minnesota Wild decor that is much better than...
He's played behind Edmonton, though. Like, it's not like he hasn't played behind Bad D before.
But recently, right? Recently,
yes.
And when you're older, you're a little slower, so a better decor is going to help. But I guess Dom would probably have Minnesota Wild decor at a C+, just maybe. Barely better than the Ottawa Center, so I shouldn't get too ahead of myself here. But I think it will take some adjustment for sure, especially with playing the preseason with a bunch of younger defenders as well. It's going to take some time to adjust, but I thought Cam Talbot looked good out there.
2 guys who we're not going to know whether they look good or not, Tomas Hamara and Carson Latimer, both reassigned to their respective junior teams. Latimer to the Prince Albert Raiders, and Hamara is going to make his regular season debut coming up soon with Kitchener after exploding. What do you have, 6 points in 3 preseason games? Something
I think
like
it was 6 and 4. Yeah, he led all OHL defensemen.
So excited to see that, but were you surprised neither of them, maybe especially Hamara, who's already been signed to his NHL contract, didn't get a game?
I was a little surprised, especially with, isn't there 9 preseason games?
Right, but I think you'd want to get it out of the way by the end of Winnipeg.
But that's what I mean.
Starting this weekend, it's Saturday, it sounds like. So after the Friday game as well against Toronto, DJ Smith, he said he had to talk to Dorian. Again, FanFest was today. So great on everybody who got out. And I guess there's something wrong with the ice, so maybe no practices.
That Swiss water didn't travel well.
Last time I saw practice at FanFest, Patrick Seeloff ended Clark MacArthur's career. So maybe we could stay away from FanFest team practices. That was so brutal to be in the rink at. Went for it. Never mind that. Good vibes only. But so no practice today, but the ice should be good for their next home game. Again, they're in Winnipeg tomorrow when you're listening to this on Tuesday. They're here. So I don't know why they didn't just give Hamara that, or even one of the games on Saturday. He was listed on the roster for the early game. They end up going with Rubens instead because Jorian Donovan played the second game. I actually thought he looked pretty decent, but I was surprised like Donovan, the 5th round pick, gets a game and a contract like the day before. And Hamara, the higher pick, didn't. I just felt that was a bit strange. Not the end of the world, but a little strange.
Yeah, and I thought it was strange too because like there's so many games in the latter half where you can have your team set and use those as kind of primers for the regular season that why not for these early games have guys like Tomas not play 28 minutes a night and mix in a guy like Hamara. But it's not the end of the world. And I think, like I mentioned, when I was at the rookie tournament, Hamara, it was very obvious how young and kind of small he was. So, like, I think it's better. You got a good look at him. You gave him a taste of NHL life. He was around the guys. Send him back to junior so there's no major injuries, because that's the last thing you want.
And especially a new surrounding for him in Kitchener. You don't want to miss too much time. I know the WHL already started. I think the OHL starts this upcoming week. I think I saw the 67s post tonight, their last preseason game. So you don't want these guys missing too many games. And then for Carson Latimer, it's too bad he didn't get into a game, but I think they probably want to use that spot to get more of a look at Sokolov and Järventie and Boucher, among others.
Yeah, well, and I mean, he's the mayor of Prince Albert. He has a lot of municipality decisions he's got to make, so they had to get him back there ASAP.
Yeah, so I'll be boots on the ground when Lats comes through Winnipeg this year, and we'll keep you posted on him. I thought you were going to say in the Latster part of preseason when you were saying that a little bit earlier. But yeah, so Carson Latimer goes down. So now there's 3 players who were on our organizational value rankings who have been sent down. And that's Hamara and Chandler Romeo from the back end and Carson Latimer. Those are the first cuts from Sens training camp. I would imagine we get some more cuts after the Winnipeg game. And we're still waiting at the time of the recording of who is going to be on that team. The way, a little behind the curtain, a little behind the blog. And if you missed behind the blog, complete 10 episodes, all available on YouTube. I think Ben Rogers is going to play. He was a scratch in the late game at night. I think he's probably the next guy to go back. Not many junior guys are left. Roger and Boucher. And Massey Cut, but again, he's hurt. You can't send a guy back.
And Donovan.
While he's injured. Oh, and Donovan as well. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot him twice. Or no, last time I forgot Hamara when I said Donovan was the first guy to sign. All right, a little Sparty shuffle there on the draft picks. But yeah, so I hope Boucher sticks around a little bit longer. Coach signaled him out as a guy who worked hard, and he did that little Matthews, like dragged the puck into his feet, got a good shot off, and was mixing it up as well. So hopefully we see more from Boucher. Igor and Roby, I'd like to see more from in the next couple of games. I didn't think that was great. They also were playing with Derek Brassard, but if they're gonna get to be an NHL level, it shouldn't matter who you're playing with. So I'm hopeful that they both show a little bit more, because we know the offensive instincts and the shot for both of them is apparent. So that's where they're at. Who do you hope to see in the lineup from Winnipeg? Whether it's a guy that you saw on the weekend, or like, can he duplicate that performance? Or is there anyone in particular that you're going to be locked on to? Although we will have a show here as well once we get the roster. We're going to drop that mid-morning on Tuesday. We're going to record it Monday evening. I'm on the early shift. Anyways, neither here nor there. You'll get your Tuesday episode mid-morning as well, and then we'll get back to our Sens Central Citizen on Wednesday. But before the roster's out, is there one player, like a guy who you're going to be glued to for the rest of camp that you'd like in that lineup?
Well, Pierre Dorion told us the Nodak guys are going to be making their way to Winnipeg, and they will be in the lineup, so that'll be nice. So I think I'll go with the easy answer there, and it's Shane Pinto again. Like, I think a lot of this team, like, even though we had 20 minutes, I just highlighted how crazy it was. He led the forwards in ice time. I want to see more of Shane Pinto progressing here, because he's going to be a big part of this team if that bottom six has success. And, Ross, the rumors, the streets are saying that the Ottawa Senators and the Chychrun talks are still kind of happening in the background, and Pinto is the one guy that's kind of holding things up. The Coyotes really want him. The Sens don't want to give him up. So let's keep seeing some more Pinto, so that we can be assured that, hey, if the Sens are going to hold on to this guy, it's for good reason.
Agreed. I had to mute that thread. I put out Elliot Friedman reported that Arizona really wants Chychrun, and it went to the Leafs and Habs, and now we're delusional because we like top prospects. But this kid's the real deal. Not only that, but when I get the Nodak Sens jersey with the name on the back, having him traded would be...
You've made an investment, yeah.
Bad. Very bad. Almost as bad as my Jakob Silfverberg jersey in the 2013 playoffs. He was traded before the start of the next season. So that would be right up there as well. We have had a little bit of a boom of subscribers. I told you, once we hit 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, we are going to be giving away a pair of 100 level tickets for the Arizona Coyotes visit to the Canadian Tire Center on Saturday, October 22nd. So make sure you're Locked On Senators on YouTube, subscribed, and be a friend. Tell a friend. We'll give you more information about how you can load up on that contest coming up very soon right here on LOSP. If you're still looking for tickets for the home opener, you can go to our Linktree link. Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
Linktree link. Yep.
Either on Instagram or on Twitter. You can click that and in big letters, home opener tickets, and you can go and get yours for $35 all in. Let's pack the CTC for that. Any final thoughts, Pilsy, before we go? Next time we speak, it'll be an Ottawa Senators game day.
Yeah, I'm fired up for a game day. Fired up for you to get another viewing of the Sens in Winnipeg preseason, because the last preseason game we watched in Winnipeg, we got to see that Ridley Gregg highlight reel goal with, of course, a Ridley Gregg suspension on the other side of that.
What else happened, though?
Oh, they won twice. They won in overtime and shootout.
Who scored the OT winner?
Shane Pinto.
Your guy you want to see tomorrow. There you go. Yeah, that was a sick goal, too. Just had
it was nice, yeah.
Took it for a loop, and away you went.
Yep.
So there you have it.
That's it for me. Yep.
I love it. I'll have a full report. I don't know if you and Martian are planning to do a postcast, but I'd hop in from boots on the ground. No pressure, no guarantees, but that's why you got to say subscribe and put that notification bell on. Preseason optional. We might take our veterans maintenance day, but come regular season, the postcast will be back in full swing. Thank you so much for listening. Again, if you want more Senators content, our YouTube exclusives, our left, right, and center with the Behind the Blog, and a whole lot more. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.